Okay, welcome to McBoss Capital channel, and this is the week ending February 9, 2014, and we're going to start off with looking at the trend in election years, and this is the one based on over many years, like 1944 to 2020, and so this is based on 20 election years. And the black line is how it averaged out over time on election years. So overall, you can see the trend is up from January to December. On average, it's up 7.5%. But one of the things that was noted here that I find very interesting is how the market, and you look at the black line here, started goes down around mid-February. And it goes all the way till March, past March, like, basically mid-March or somewhere around there. It bottoms around there. Yeah, so that is very interesting. And then from there, it goes up. It kind of flat around April, May. And then it kind of goes up, like, over time. And then it has a dip here in mid-July. July, yeah. So and then we have another dip in October, September to October. So yeah, it's because the 2 months before. So I don't know what this 10 losses and 10 wins is. Someone said it is maybe related to whether the actual existing party wins the election. I'm not sure, But anyhow, you can see like it goes down right here, like September to October, 2 months before the election, they tend to go down because market is unsure who will win. So basically, this chart tells us that hey, there's some sort of pullback correction happening somewhere between like mid-February and mid-March, and then we have another dip here in July, and then we have a big run in September, October. And so that tends to be the trend. And yeah, so we go back to 2020, and this is based on June timeline. So we know, right, like we have the COVID time and a huge correction here. So that was the last one. So obviously that year was also election year, but no one saw that coming, right? Like, well, this correction was really related to COVID, but I don't know. Not sure if it knows. I guess it must be because it was a big move. Okay, then we go back to 2016, and I don't remember what happened 2016, but we also have this pretty bad correction here, which also undercut a previous correction. So this was a pretty nasty, like I think 20% correction at least. So so that was 2016, and then 2012. We didn't see any correction here, so that's interesting, right? So this is January right here, and then here is end of March. So we didn't see any correction there at all. Let's go back to 08 one more. 08. Okay, so 08, yeah, we see this huge correction as well in 08. Yeah, so most years except that 2012 looks pretty bad. So but here's 2004. You can see January here, and then by end of March it start to correct. So this one start like a little bit of delay here, and then 2000. So 2000 was the crash year, but again, if you look at between January and March, you can see there's also correction here. So yeah, in general, right, there's usually something brewing. I can't remember who was saying. Someone was saying it might start as a little bit later, like early April. I can't reason. Yeah, but we could start earlier. I don't know. So anyhow, we want to brace for perhaps some turbulence coming up. We are flying at high altitude right now, and things are really extended. We'll talk about that. And once the rally is over, usually they don't go down. Stocks, that have went up 50% or more, they're not going to go down just 5 or 10%. They're going to go down a lot more. So something to be aware of. So yeah, we on my notes here you can see, election year, beware of a February and March pullback or even correction. I don't think we'll see a correction, but a pullback is definitely 5% or a little bit more could be on the horizon, on the index at least. And then, but the big news this week obviously is S&P closed above 5,000 level on Friday, and that's going to make headline all over the newspaper this weekend. And we're going to start to see more retail investors pile in next week, and some of the high flying stocks are going to go up even more because of that. Because retail investors, they usually buy extended. So that's something that could happen, and we might see some sort of euphoria happening soon, and fear of missing out that will propel stocks even higher. And another thing I would say is at the last leg of the rally, they tend to go up the most, the last 1 or 2 weeks. And so again, beware of that. If you see a stock starting move 10% a day, those are usually signs of like starting to build either really extended or even starting a climax run. Of course, this is still a stock picker market. We continue to see breadth not as much, although it has improved the last few days, but it's just the breadth is still not really there. And analysts are constantly talking about this on CNBC, whether do you need market breadth, to continue and sustain this rally. And that's always a mixed bag, what someone think. And things you should be doing right now, if you're in the stock, and it's extended, you should be at the minimum raising your stops so that it never come back down to when you buy it. Things like that. Obviously, I'm actually trimming right now, taking lots of profit. Trying to be ahead of the market. Mark Minervini always said, you sell on strength, especially when no one wants to sell. You want to sell because you'll be getting at the best price usually. So of course it can go higher, but it can also come down very fast. So there's things to be aware of. But anyhow, overall, this week, there's not lots of economic news. Like Russell, very strong this week. It was kind of, weak at the beginning of the week. Let's just go to the chart right now so we can see what we're talking about here. So you can see, the long-term trend is we trying to break above this 2,000 decisively. We did it once recently and it fell. You can see it came back all the way down to the 50-day. It found support there, and then it tries again this last couple of weeks to bounce off it. And you can see now we're getting exactly, we closed at 2009 points, just slightly above the 2000. Again, we are testing this again. Is this going to be the time it will work? I don't want to say it because there's a lot of traders right now jumping ahead, buying IWM, preparing for this breakout. I mean, it could happen because the rally is starting to feel strong, right? At least on some of the growth stocks. So some of them are buying IWM. Like for me, I'd rather wait and see what it's gonna do at this level, because the last few times it just has so much trouble, right? And because stocks are quite extended, it makes me feel like unless the small caps are going to participate, like breaking out and all that stuff, and then we see a lot of those, I don't think this is real. And the observation so far from me is like I haven't seen enough small cap breakout to make this sustainable. So I feel like this is just another trap. And it should have done it here. It didn't, and that's what makes me also like not believe in this current trend right now. I feel like this is another trap. But again, who knows, right? Like things could change very drastically, especially as more earnings come out and small cap earnings come out. But so far, they have been beaten up really bad, a lot of small cap stocks, and yeah, so I don't know like whether this is sustainable, but at least right now it looks okay because it climbed above 2000. It's the first time in like a few weeks here. You know, it basically, you know, there's a long, like a lot of gyrations here, and it did close here, so that's the good sign. And it also broke this downtrend right here. So two things that have happened at the same time is broke the downtrend and climbed above 2000. So from that perspective, it's very bullish. It could be, you know, maybe taking off now. Hopefully that's the case, and maybe, but again, I feel like it's very late to the party. You know, that's just my, you know, because all the other major index have already gone up quite a bit, and even starting to feel extended. So I just don't think, you know, it will even if it does get to 2071, the previous peak here. I just don't know if it has much energy to go on further after that. And so, yeah, so those are things to pay attention to. So if we jump to NASDAQ, again, you can see it's quite extended right now. This one is coming very close to the previous high, 16,213. So that's something that everyone is going to be watching as well. It could hit it this coming week. It's only like, what, 300 points? Not even 220 points away. So that's like basically 1.5% away, really close. It could be a one-day move, and we'll be there. So that's another thing to watch out. Like right now, you can see it is quite extended from the 50-day line, even on the weekly chart. It's definitely you know, you can almost say it's already at the top range of the channel line. And I feel you know, we gotta be careful with this, because this, you know, the general index don't usually get extended too much. So when they do, they usually pull back. So here it went sideways. Here you see it pull back pretty significantly. Here it just bounced on 21-day. So here we at the top range again. And if I don't have that picture here. But anyhow, so it can be a little bit extended. If you go to QQQ, just to see, we can see the technicals here. And if you look at 10-day, no, sorry, moving average, 21-day, 50-day. Yeah, so 50-day, the where it closed right now is 6.71%. So generally around like 7 to 8% is where it usually brings it back. So I think the last time was right here. So this level. So when it gets extended too far, of course it can go up of 8%, but it's very rare. So that's something to be aware of. Again, another 1.2% will be at 8%. So that's something to be aware of. But yeah, NASDAQ is doing really well right now. So that's good. Let's go back to, so that's the QQ. So NASDAQ, you know, it's getting close to the previous high. And then if we look at S&P, again, the 5,000 level was really strong. We broke it, closed at 5,025. You can see the volume has been rising like very clearly here, so those are good signs. So, you know, longer term picture looks very healthy. Short term here, we may be due for a pullback pretty soon. And then we have Dow. So Dow was the weakest one on Friday, which is kind of weird. I don't know why, but you know, and it didn't move up this much this week, right? So you know, that's also not a good sign, especially when volume going up. You want to see it moving up. Otherwise, those are considered stalling days, and stalling days are usually meaning like people are selling behind the scenes. That's why you see higher volume but not much movement. So you know, you can see very clearly, you know, it's just having a hard time going to new high despite higher volume comes in. So that's also negative. And then obviously RS line is not performing as well as S&P. So that's also weird, right? So the probably the biggest story I find this week that, you know, is very important is this LBD 50 index, which you know, they have the top 50 stocks every week. And this chart is it paint 1,000 words to me, because during if we go to a weekly chart on a longer term picture, it's been like really hammered the last couple of years since the correction began. And even last year, it just didn't have much power at all. It just stuck in this, again, another big base here, and then you can see this cup handle forming. And then this year is the first time it broke out of this cup handle pattern, and it did that more than a couple weeks ago. And even at the beginning, it was quite hesitant to do it, but if it did, and then right here it was holding really tight, above the handle here, and then finally it wasn't until let's see, I'm pretty sure this was Wednesday, February 1st. So okay, so that's Thursday last week, right? So Thursday last week was when things start to really move. So when you talk about growth, and IB50 is really a leading indicator of growth stocks. And when you talk about growth stocks, that's when it really starts to move. It's 7 sessions ago. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 7 sessions, and now it has accelerated. You can see it's quite extended, and it did break to a new high, at least since last year, and you can see that breakout. Again, this is what I like to see, is on breakout, it gap up, no hesitation, doesn't look back, close at the top. So this is very strong indicator that it most likely have more room to run, right? Whether it but it is a little bit extended right now. Like, I wouldn't be surprised to see it go back a couple of days and then take off again. But yeah, but it is a little bit extended. But the storyline here is good, that growth stocks are finally moving, and we will see. I find that this week there's a lot more stocks to pick from if you were looking for stocks to buy. And so that's a good sign. The breadth is not as narrow no more. It's still narrow, but it's just not as narrow. So it has expanded a little bit, at least on the growth side of the story. What's interesting this week, I find, is that the yield, the 10-year yield, it didn't even go down this week. It actually went up and closed at where it closed. It closed at the top of this week. Very weird, because the market didn't seem to pay attention to this at all. So again, is this this is not good for banks and stuff, right? Because the yield goes higher. Again, they're not going to be able to lend money at a very efficient discount. So this worries me, because it's starting to go back up. It broke above the downtrend line, and then you see the 200-day line right here. It also broke above that. It's telling me that it wants to go higher now. Yes, RS line is really going sideways, but again, this is worrisome, because if it starts to shoot higher, the market is going to react, right? That's something to watch out for. I don't know what's pushing this rate higher, but this is something that's odd. So it found support here. That was a big test, and once it found that support, it really shot up like incredible speed. This is like, forget about this is a 10-year yield chart. When you look at charts, when you see it can climb so fast and recover everything in like weeks, that's like a really strong chart. So there's a high chance it's going to move higher. And what does that mean for the especially for some of the growth stocks, right? So something to pay attention to, especially this has a very strong correlation to how growth stocks behave. Usually it counters those stocks. So I would be paying attention to this more going forward, especially now that it has found support, and it has, I think this pretty much is the highest close in the last month. So if I clear this, yeah, this is 4.18%. Usually it's based on percent. So like, it's not the intraday high. So this was closed at 41.78, and this one closed at 41.87. So yeah, it is the highest close in over a month. So I would be worried, I would focus more on this going forward, and this could spark a correction in like growth stocks, because growth stock tends to counter on the 10-year yield, because of if interest rate goes higher, yeah, they tend to not do as well. So something to pay attention to. I feel like this is something that just creep up all of a sudden, even though no one talks about it yet. But if the market start to react to it, and we could see that's when probably growth stocks will start to correct. And yeah, so like I said, if this goes up really fast, that would be even more worrisome. But if it stays here at this level and just stuck here, that's fine. You know, we'll see what's going to happen. The regional banks are, you know, not doing well, even though it bounced on Friday, but that's still on the downtrend. So the downtrend pretty steep. You know, at first it looks like this, now it looks like this. So yeah, this is also, there's something's wrong with the market right now, relating to this regional story. You know, obviously New York, you know, community bank is the big story, but why is the overall regional banks all doing the same thing, right? This is the index. So it's something is not right, and so volume is super high. Yes, can it all happen because of one bank? No, there's probably something else happening, and the story could brew up, and we don't know what the story is. We'll see. It closed pretty much near the downtrend line, so we'll have to see whether if it can break above that this coming week, or you know, yeah. So the only good thing about this chart is like it's still, you know, the 200-day has come back up. It didn't close at the 200-day, touch it in anyway, so that's also a good sign. But yeah, it's kind of now, you know, if it fell this, it's going to be bad, right? If it fell this, it's most likely going to go to 200-day and test that 200-day. So something to watch out for. Again, I'm not sure, no one pay attention to this story as well. So there's lots of negatives that the market is putting aside right now. So if it all come together, it could be bad. And again, I'm not sure when the okay. So Tuesday, you know, Federal Reserve said the credit card delinquencies jumped more than 50% last year. That's interesting. Consumer debt hit 17.5 trillion. Credit card debt are usually defined, delinquency are defined as 90 days past due. Right, so that was 6.4% in Q4, up from 4% at the end of 2022. So it has gone up over 50%. So that's interesting thing to pay attention to. We'll look at bullish sentiment newsletter. As you can see, the CNN Green Index now is at 78, so it's quite high. It's not the previous high yet. But it's getting to the extreme greed level, so something to pay attention to. You know, here you see it goes into extreme greed level for maybe like a couple of weeks, and then it fell apart. So here we just started entering extreme greed again. So here we had a previous one, and then in January it came back down. So now we're entering extreme greed again. On the AAII side, this is pretty high, 49%. It's 2 weeks in a row now, and the highest was last year, December 20th, 52%, and the bearish sentiment is also very low, 22%. So something to be aware of. Usually when sentiment get too bullish, market tends to pull back. So we can see also the stochastics oscillator here shows NASDAQ, you know, is at the top of the range. It's very high. You can see it's like near the top. Usually past 80 is when you start to, you know, think about it's being overbought. And right now we are at the extreme level. So we're getting closer that this could end anytime soon. If we look at S&P, similar. Very similar. And then Dow looks okay. It looks like it's just starting to move up towards the high level, but still, yeah. So on the AAII sentiment, so this is the bullish, the newsletter one. The spread has, you know, was around 37% versus 40% last week, which is the widest margin since July 21st. So again, spread that is above 40% points to elevated risk. And the other thing that is very noticeable is the wicks. So let's jump to the wicks chart. So the wicks, you can see it just really low right now. Yeah, so it's slowly moving up, but like you can see higher highs, higher lows, but it's still pretty quiet here. So yeah, it looks like it's, even the last 3 days, the market was so bullish, but look at wicks, right? It just doesn't want to go down anymore, which is interesting. So yeah, so something to pay attention to. So this is based on Wednesday bond market saying that the spread between 2 and 10 year is currently negative 32 basis points. So 4.41 for 2 year, 4.09 for 10 years. So we know this is higher now, and versus 38 points on January 2nd. So basically the yield spread has came down a bit. And a positive slope yield curve stimulates bank loans and economic growth. So that's that's what you want to see, is the gap start to narrow and eventually reverse. So yeah. So not much news on Thursday. Friday we saw of course there's lots of earnings news. We'll talk about the stocks in a second. But on Friday the Bitcoins move around 57. I think it hit a new high right on Friday. And then Marathon stock, Riot, MicroStrategy, all the stocks move. So if you have those stocks, good for you. So Nasdaq is up 14 out past 15 weeks now. So let's look at that, because are we getting to a point where it's getting too long on the rally? So this is now 15 weeks. So in general, like IBD study shows, average is about 18 weeks for a rally. So we're getting closer and closer. And also, like, the other thing is like just how strong this rally has been, right? Like there's only one down week. So that's also worth noticing. And also the other thing, I feel like this rally is starting to, like, look it's starting to get extended now. So we talked about that earlier. If this week it just pops out of this upper channel line, I would consider that a very strong signal to sell, because that would be like not normal, right? Usually when it's like go really up, it tends to correct. So yeah, so that's something to watch out for. Again, when we talk about breadth, we want to look at the equal weight so that we don't get sidetracked by the heavy weighted one, capitalized. So here you can see the equal weight S&P. It didn't really make a strong move, as strong as the weighted S&P. Like, I mean, it did close at the top, but it's not very strong. Like, it did move up the last few days as well, but again, it's just not very strong. Again, we've seen the volume not there, right? So that's a very negative thing to see. So let's look at the equal weight QQQ. This one looks slightly better. At least it makes the new highs, and then also volume came in. So this is probably where the strength of the market is mostly. So that's good. So at least on the equal weight Nasdaq 100, it actually did have volume and it's moving higher. And this is where a lot of the stocks that are moving right now are from this area. So that we'll look at those. A lot of them are tech, obviously. So the dollar didn't move as much this week. It actually fell back to the low of the range. I guess on Monday gap up, but then it kind of closed on the weak side. Oil is actually the opposite, so which is interesting, right? The US dollar went up, but the oil actually I mean, the US dollar went down, but the oil went up. So this is also very interesting. Not sure why the oil is moving again. We also noticed some oil stocks move. Like, I'll just jump. Like, I don't have many oil stocks on my list, but one is Weatherford. So this one moved accordingly. So like, again, one of the things that I always look at on the chart is, like, you can see it's basing for a long time, and it was down there on the range, like the lowest level, just 4 sessions ago. It only took 3 sessions to came all the way back up on this range. So whenever you look at a chart and you see this kind of strength, like where it takes up the whole range in just a few short days, those are powerful moves. Something's happening. And obviously you can see, like, the volume is there. Of course, this has something to do with earnings as well, but regardless, right? On the technicals, like, this is really strong. It did pull back on Friday on lower volume, so that's good. So we'll see if this will break out. If this breaks out on this, you know, it'll be, you know, it could be like as strong as this right here. Season is still going on. We have more stocks came out this week, and we have ANET. So that a lot of people will be watching that, especially they depend so much on Meta and Microsoft, CDNS, EDP, Shopify, DraftKings, Shack. So those are some notable stocks.
So
we'll look at accumulation distribution. In terms of the number of stocks, you can see this week, Monday, it started out really weak. We had a distribution day on Monday, actually, on both the index, and that day was pretty bad. Again, this is after Thursday, Friday was very strong the week before, and then it started to move again. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. You can see it continue to climb. Distribution is still there. You can see it's not low either, right? On the sector side, same thing. It was moving up, but on the sell side also was moving up. On the sectors, we are, you know, we didn't see any accumulation in any group on Monday, and then as the week goes on, we see techs went up the most, and then we also have some industrials, which is also interesting, and then we have some retails. Yeah. So those are the, and then health, that's also a little bit going up. So yeah, so that's where the strength is. So so March, you can see, like, it's 84% now, right? No movement, which, because everyone, the Fed's already said so many times now, there's not going to be a cut in March. So going into May, it's only about 52% chance of a cut. So this may or may not happen. And then more and more analysts I hear are saying most likely it will be June. So you can see here, market thinks, still thinks there's a cut in May, sorry, and then a cut in June, right? But more and more analysts I hear is probably targeting June as the timeline for the first cut. So I think, you know, the fact that what we just saw on the market happen is, you know, it's definitely very bullish, because what happened was, you know, we go look back at the chart, right? It was this down day Wednesday, which was the big down day, January 21st, when the Fed met. After that day sell-off, basically the market decided to move higher, at least, you know, on some of the growth stocks, and ignore, you know, that story now, right? And so the fact that the market digests that and say, hey, okay, you're going to raise rates later, that's fine. But some of these stocks, we believe, will still do well going forward because there's a growth story. And so that's what happened. That, to me, that is very bullish, especially like this is such a strong divider in terms of like what happened before the Fed news and what happened after. You know, so the question is just how long this will last, right? Like, Could it last a month? Could it last 2 months? No one knows. It's only 7 days into the session, and we saw what a difference it made already. So let's look at some of the sectors. So semiconductors making new highs, looking really, really strong. It's accelerating. Yeah. So you can see the pullbacks here. Whether this is another pullback or is this the near-term peak, I don't know. Watch the 50-day line. It's definitely quite extended right now. That's a good measure of how extended it is. So that's that one. So we know SMH has been moving quite a bit, and this is the software sector. Yeah, it's looking really strong as well. This is a very strong slope. You can see the slope is starting to get more and more like vertical, and usually that could be a sign of like near the top. Like how much more this will run, I don't know. It could go up, another 5-10%. Definitely possible. So those are possible, yeah. And then we have, let's look at some industrial. This is the home builders group. So the home builders group also broke out this week. Looks like there's some volume. So yeah, so it just broke out and might start to move. The infrastructure group also broke out this week. Looks really strong. Actually broke out Monday, Tuesday. No, this is Friday actually, last Friday. So Monday, Tuesday pulled back, and then Wednesday took out the last week's high. So this is really strong, and it's moving now. So now you can see a lot of sectors are moving, and they're doing really well. So that's one good sign, is that there is more participation in the marketplace. So even though the breadth is still weak, XLI. So this is the industrials. You can see it's again, this last few days was really weird. It didn't move higher, and then Dow was down on Friday. So that's really weird. But maybe it's just a temporary hold. I don't know. We'll see. But it is on the uptrend, so that's the good news. And okay, we'll look at ARK as well. So this is Cathy Wood's Index Innovation Fund. It's starting to move. It's definitely a laggard. You can see it just came up, break away from this downtrend line. Look at the genomics one, mostly biotech group, and same thing, it just broke out. Let's look at the overall health sector. This is we highlighted this last week. It broke out, and you can see it continue that path. Yeah, so looking pretty strong. This is the 10-day slope right now, 10-day moving average slope. So last time it has a pretty good run right here. So this slope looks even stronger. Likes to call. They don't like to use Max 7 no more because Apple and Tesla are lagging. Especially Tesla. They like to call the AI 5, which is Microsoft, Nvidia, Google, Amazon, and Meta. So we'll look at those first. Microsoft continue to make new high. It has this pullback last week, but then now making new high again. So it looks really strong. Nvidia is continuing its run. So one of the things that I will talk more in the next few minutes is like the stocks that are extended, and you draw, the best thing to do is draw like a line above all the tops, the highs of the days, and just kind of connect the tops here, and you can see it's at the upper channel line range. And so in this case I did start taking profit here. It could go a lot higher. You can see the 10-day is starting to slope, like curve upward, and so that usually signify a potential climax run happening when it start to curve. And yeah, so we could see some of the signs of a climax run is like, you know, up 5 to 10% like very quickly on a given day or multiple days in a row. Those are signs of a climax run. So things to watch out for could be potential profit taking strategy there. So this is doing still very well. Let's look at Google. So Google, you know, after the earnings, you can see it drop, and then now it's coming back up. So Friday actually went back up. It broke the downtrend and came back up about the 10-day. So looking okay. And then we have Meta. So Meta, we have the earnings pop here, and then it kind of went sideways. So this is good news. It went sideways. You know, found some support right here. So I moved some of my stops to that level, just in case. 10 days catching up. So the 10-day slope looks like this. So you want it to see it obey that 10-day. Yeah, looking still strong. It's not doing much right now, but we'll see whether it can hold the 10-day. That's probably the most important thing there. And yeah, and then we have Amazon. So Amazon continued to move higher. You can see it's starting to reach the 20% mark. So it's like, you know, again, you can see the 10-day slope looks like this. It didn't even try. Again, I talk about this all the time, and now the strong indicator of a chart is looking at whether it tried to come to the 10-day or not. And in this case, it doesn't want to touch the 10-day, right? And those are good stocks to hold, because that means there's just so much demand on the stock that they don't even want to touch the 10-day. So this could go a lot higher from that perspective. And then so those are the AI 5. Now we're going to look at Apple. So Apple, again, it's very boring in my opinion. It's not doing much. It's just kind of going back and forth. It's under the 50-day, so that's still a negative. It's still on the downtrend. So I don't like it, because if market is acting well and the stock is not, usually it's a laggard, and why would you want to hold a laggard, right? So let me just show one more thing. So look at this RS line, right? It just continued the downtrend, right? So that's a very, like, this started earlier, and then there's a small pop here, and then now it continues, right? So the same thing with Tesla. You see this RS line, it's just continue. Right now, again, there's a small pop here, but I don't know if it's sustainable. Like, it just doesn't have the power, right? You know, it's almost the opposite. When you bounce, you want to see it bounce fast and stronger. You know, not bounce slow and weak, right? It's, you know, same thing when it goes down. You want it to see the opposite. You want to see it go down slow and not that much, right? If it goes down fast and a lot, and then bounce and slow and weak, like a little bit, that's not a good sign. So this is like the opposite of how it should behave. Some of the stocks that IBD highlight in articles this week is App. This one is taking on Web Giants. This stock is soaring. CYTK, I don't follow this. Better Biotech bounce back with drug that hit the bullseye. IoT, Samsara also multiple entries. DT, Dynatrace, R guidance trips up Dynatrace. Tenable stands out among stars. UiPath pops with AI automation. And Fortinet shares rebound after a few bad quarters. So those are some of the stocks that was highlighted. So this list is sorted by relative strength. And so if we look at starting from the top, I just want to talk about a lot of these stocks at the, you know, the list of top 10 I'm looking at is extended. So how do we know it's extended? Well, first, for me anyway, when it breaks out from a base and it's above 25%, and also, like, you know, that's usually like IBD user rule, right? 20-25%. You should start considering taking some profit. Most stocks will hit that level and that's it. But the stronger ones, and this is a case of the stronger one, SMCI, it obviously, you know, bounced on announced preliminary earnings, and it jumped on that news, and ever since that time, that was like the lowest point you could buy, funny enough. And then you have the real earnings came out right here, this day right here, and it jumped more, and continue. And this stock obeys the 10-day line really well. So that is the slope of the 10-day. And then you can see another line I draw here is upper channel line. And you can see it constantly. So if I take away the markups for a second. Okay. You can see if you just draw like, draw the upper channel line again, you can see it constantly try to touch that line. And this is a very strong slope. So I don't even expect it to go above that channel line. Even if it follows this channel line, that's like really strong. Like this is a 60-degree angle at least, right? Slope. And that's a very strong move. Like, you can see right here, 107% from this buy point. So yeah, it's already double. So, for me, yeah. So let me put back my markups again. So I have started to take some profit. You can see I've been selling every day this week, just trimming it little bit by little bit. I'm down to a half position now. Can it go higher? Yes, it can. In fact, I wouldn't even think. I think it will even top in a climax fashion, like where it has a super strong day up, and that would be probably the day I would unload most of it, if that happens. So what we're trying to talk about here is a lot of stocks are extended, and you need to start thinking about profit taking strategy, whatever it is. You could, the other things I've also been doing is like starting to divide my stop loss into multiple levels instead of having one level. You could, do some proactive strategy here where, maybe if it like right here, I put the low of that first day of the previous day. Just if it trigger, if it stop, if it keep going higher, great. I'll keep all my shares, right? That'll be great. Or you can, like I said, you can sell on any strength day, and you can also put a stop on that low of that day. You can also put a stop on the 10-day moving average as it move up if you want to keep it for longer. Maybe it'll pull back, but then it'll bounce more, right? So there's so many ways you can sell. But the key here, what I'm trying to emphasize on, is you need to learn to take profit, especially on the stock that has moved up this much. Yes, it can always move up higher, but when this thing starts to correct, watch out. So look at the previous top right here. Just go back and learn from the stock, right? It went up pretty strong. This is a pretty big move from 120 to 357 was the top. So that's almost 200% gain. We're at 107% gain. Of course, we're not going to get the same level of gains every time after a breakout. This was a really strong one, really strong. And look at how it topped. It was a disaster, right? It was the earnings call, and it dropped like a lot. So we don't know what could spark a sell-off, but when the stock runs rampage like this, there's only one down day here, and then if you count this one as well, that's 2 out of like I don't know how many sessions, 20 sessions. It's probably one of the strongest stock in the market right now. So we gotta learn how to take profit. Yeah. Next one on mine is Mara. It's not extended. It just actually broke this downtrend line on Thursday. So I took a position there. Friday I added more. Continues to go up. We'll see if it can come back up. Going to this level. We'll see. It is moving really fast. That's like how's the speed of it. It's like Thursday it went up how many percent? 23%. Friday it went up 10%. It's just incredible speed how fast this guy's move. So I don't expect it to, like, again, when this rally is going to end, I expect everything to drop. So I don't think like any stock will escape. That's how I think anyway. I don't think any stock will escape that pullback. But for now, as long as the market wants to keep going, this kind of stocks can move. So Giga Cloud Technology continue to move. Let me bring back my markups. So here's the upper channel line. He already crossed it once, and then it pulled back. And then now you can see it's starting to get close to the upper channel line again. You know, the 10-day moving average is also starting to slope curve, so that's something to be aware of. So I expect, again, most of these stocks, you can see right here the previous peak, right? It does the climax move, like 2-3 days of strong day, like big percentage move, and then that's it. And then look at that one, the next day, it just dropped like crazy. So again, when you see stocks extended, really extended, you know, again, look at the 50-day, right? That's the best example. Look at how far it is from the 50-day, right? Even here it was like this high, but this one is even higher. So the further it is from the 50-day, the higher chance of it pulling back really strong. So something to pay attention to. Yeah. Okay. Next one is VRT. So you can see this upper channel line right here. It passed it right here. I'm starting to take profit right now. Again, you can see the 10-day moving average starting to curve upward. So that's the slope right now. So how much more will go? I don't know, but it's starting to look very toppy. So Powell broke out on earnings right here, one big day gap. I got into it. I didn't have it before that, and since that time, you can see it found support right here. It moved very quick. It just pulled back one day, and then the next day it started going again. And now it's starting to look a little bit extended to me. You know, it's pretty far away from the 50-day. Look at how much gap that is. You know, versus here. So it's starting to look extended to me. Again, I draw the upper channel line. I'm starting to take profit. So something to, you know, again, starting to think about profit strategy. You know, it came, you know, from the breakout points up 68%. But, you know, that's assuming you hold before the earnings. App, this guy just broke out on a long base. Very choppy though. So that was the storyline that IBD has today. It's looking okay right now. You can see both times it bounced off the 10-day and closed at the top of the range. So there's support. You can see the buying is mostly on the blue side, which is the accumulation side, much less on selling. So really good signs technically. So this one just still on the breakout zone. Okay, so CLS, you know, again, you can see it's been running for a while now, and you know, this is after even multiple earnings. And then this last earnings right here, it start to move, and this was the day, something like that. So now it's starting to move. It's on a very strong trend right now. So that's the upper channel line there on that slope, and here's the 10-day. So it's moving pretty fast right now. So I'm starting to take profit as well. So you can see this one, CrowdStrike, strong channel line right here. Earnings pop, and then it didn't want to go down. It continued, and then it has this pullback right here. And you look at this upper channel line right here. For this one, it's now past it, right? And it's a good time to take profit. And this one is really strong. This is probably one of the, you know, more consistent like uptrend, right? It just keep going like, yeah. But now you can see, even if you draw like the long-term trend line, you can see it's very extended right now. So I think like we're getting closer and closer to the top here. You know, it did reverse on Friday, but you know, we'll see. It could move higher. We'll see. Another thing, like, you know, even if you don't sell on the strength day, you know, one of the things you want to start doing is, you know, I don't remember what's my original buy point. Like, I have many buy points, but you know, you can see my red line here. Like, that's where my stop is, near the 10-day moving average. So yeah, you could, like I said, you could do both, right? Offensive strategies to sell on strength, or you sell on weakness. You can put near the 10-day. You know, different ways to take profit. Okay, elastic. So this one just broke out, so it's not extended yet, and it's pretty close to 10-day. So the one thing that's happening, even though there's a lot of stocks showing extended, but there's also stocks breaking out and starting to move. Like, you can say they're laggards because they should have moved long time ago, but to me, those ones have less risk because they're just broke out, right? So for those ones, I'm willing to take new positions. But you know, again, based on what I said generally, if the market do pull back, most stocks will get hit. So, but I just hope these stocks will get hit less than the ones that are extended. Yeah. So here's Make My Trip. It's, you know, has a long uptrend. Recently, you know, after the earnings, it even then it still didn't move. A few days later, it started to move, and you can see it move up really powerful. The 10-day slope is really strong, and now, you know, I feel like it's starting to get away from the 50-day. You can see it's the highest level ever, so I'm starting to trim as well. So here's Palo Alto. It also pulled back not that long ago, and then it started to move really strong. Upper channel line right here, you can see this one is, you know, starting to get extended. Not as bad yet, but it's starting to. It's still below the upper channel line, but I feel like you know, after Friday's close, it's getting pretty close to that upper channel line. It's a good time to take profit. And look at the weekly chart here. Yeah, you know, you can see, right, it's like 42% above the buy point now. So yeah, it's a good time to take some profit. So coin is starting to bounce right now, just like all the crypto stocks, and looks really good. Broke this downtrend line. Relative strength jump this week, really strong. It's moving really fast in 3 days. We are at the 50-day, so it closed exactly at the 50-day. So we'll see where this goes. You know, the volume side is, you know, definitely more buying than selling, but it's still very weak, right? You can see the volume is not as strong. I wish there's more volume, but not. So, but at least the technical side on the chart looks better based on the relative strength. Datadog starting to move. Volume is there this week, so that's good. Yeah, but you can. This one is like, you know, more choppy than I like this chart, right? But it is making higher highs and higher lows. It's just very choppy. I'm not sure why it's so choppy, but it's probably better stocks out there. But I just find this one so choppy. The one that I like, which surprised me, is Frog. So this one, it was really choppy before too, but when it finally, you can see it moved right here really strong, and then at the beginning of the year it based, really short base, and then this last week it started to move. So this one has better behavior than Datadog, and now the 10-day is really strong, really strong. So, and look at this volume. Look at that volume, right? It just keep climbing. So Path also, UiPath is starting to, you know, move as well. So this is the base right here. Thursday, Friday, you can see that move right there. Volume also climbing. So those are all good signs as it's trying to break out right now. So looks really good. Palantir, again, the gap up move on the earnings. After that, it broke out really strong. You can see all this volume, really strong. And even on Friday, look at that close in the middle range. It does not want to close down on the range. This is a strong sign. Like, it's very close to the 20%, 25% profit taking zone. Most likely it will make it there. It's just based on what I'm seeing right now. So Monday, you can see, you know, it broke out from this base, pull back, and then it finally started the run. And right now, you know, it is sitting at the upper channel line, near the upper channel line, and it's at the 25% profit margin right now, in profit taking zone. So I'm starting to trim. Volume is still rising, so that's good. Yeah, could have more room to run this one. But it's getting to that profit taking zone, so it's time to trim. There's lots of new high, like, you know, pretty much all the stocks I've shown you so far has all new high relative strength on Friday. We already talked about ANET. Uber and Pins, a little bit disappointing. AZAC is normal. EDU starting to run. KKR on the investment side. SAIA, Shopify, ALKT, MDB is doing well. Lily doing well. Yeah, we can look at Lily. They're not, like, they're still, you know, see, this is 20-25% zone here. So we're getting closer and closer to that profit taking zone. And right now it's sloping upward really strong. So I'm expecting, look at how tight the close are near the highs, right? This is like really strong technical. Like, you know, it just wants to go higher. NBO is also catching up. This one broke out later than Lily, but now it's moving really nicely. Again, we're getting closer and closer to 20-25% zone. Yeah. We'll look at your stock, Net, Cloudflare. So it broke out right here on Thursday, and then Friday it gap out on earnings, right? So those right now you can see when you draw an upper channel line, it goes exactly at the top channel line, and here's where it's extended. So those are good area to sell. Take some profit. Who knows what's going to happen this next, you know, week? But I'm expecting, because it's so far up above the 10-day, I'm expecting it to go sideways at the, you know, probably, unless it falls back down more. I'm not sure. So some other stocks, portfolio is normal relative strength. Now it's starting to move again. CRM is normal relative strength. Hubs also starting to move. SRG is on new low relative strength. Workday is moving higher. Flex is also moving higher. Apollo, this is a strong stock. It's again, we talked about this before. It was moving like not very fast, but now look at the slope, right? Slope has changed, and it's trying to reach this 20-25% now. Bob breaks out on earnings, starting to move. AXP, American Express moving. TT is also moving. KD, Urban, Exxon. So yeah, there's still lots of stocks moving. I think, you know, 10B. Do you look at 10B? No. Let's look at that. So that's on IBD highlight this stock as well. So it just broke out. Look at what happens after it breaks out. It's just holding so strong. Does not want to go lower. And in fact, close Friday was the highest close. Look at this volume. Incredible volume. So yeah. So this is where I'm kind of mixed, right? Where a lot of stocks are extended, but yet there's a lot of stocks breaking out, showing really strong technical actions. Yeah. And we have Weatherford we already talked about. Race is also starting to move. I like this stock. I make money many times on this stock. Now it's moving again. Here's the base. It break out on earnings. and then it pulled back so slightly, and and then it didn't touch the 10-day, and look at where the 10-day slope is now. It's really strong. So TradeWeb, yeah, this one is also strong. So TradeWeb also moving. So you can see broke out right here, and now the slope is 45 degrees. So I'm seeing a lot of this, right? Breakout and moving at a fast pace. So this is really good sign that the market wants to go higher. Because there's more participation too. Rapid just announced, did really well. So this one also broke out on Friday. So there's lots of stocks breaking out right now. Look at this, right? It's a big pullback right here, but it shake out a lot of people on the earnings news. It reversed, and now it's making new high and moving really fast. So FTNT, PLKB, yeah, even interactive broker. Let's look at that. Look at this. This is the cup with handle right here. This was it was, again, this is the shakeout right here on earnings. This is exactly like what we just saw on the previous chart, and now it's moving really strong, 45-degree angle. SPSC also just came out on Friday on earnings. So SPSC came out on Friday. This is a very long base. So, and this volume is tremendous. So it's a smaller cap. It's not as liquid. So, yeah, I'm not sure how it's going to move, but I expect it to move because, this is a long base. The longer the base, when it breaks out, the stronger it moves. So that's what I expect. Yeah, this is moving really fast. So here's the original cover handle, but there's so much pullback here. Probably most people got shaken out. And then here's another pullback, and then it finally worked. So yeah, this one moving really fast in the last week, right? Like basically 20% in the last week. Volume is good. Yeah. So the only thing I would say, like going into next week, like you can see all the highlighted ones here. App is reporting, Coin is reporting, ANET is reporting, Shopify is reporting, Wix is reporting, and then who else? So there's still a lot of growth stocks reported. Hubs, Frog, Datadog, so I would be aware of how the market moves. CDNS, Dropbox, Pcore, what's this one? HWMITGR. Yeah, still quite a bit. Yeah, so yeah, pretty good. I'm excited. It's only been 7 days of movement, but it's a great 7 days. I am worried. Like I say, if you look at Nasdaq one more time, it's a very strong movement. Last time we had this run, like this one, yeah, this one is strong, but I feel like this one is even stronger. It's probably more like this one. Yeah, so we're getting close. Like this is pretty high up now on the 50-day, so I expect some sort of pullback, or like the best would be going sideways, right? If it goes sideways, that would be the best. But I'm not counting on that. If it does pull back stronger, like this, something like that, or even this one is very heavy, or something like a few days right here, that would be fine too. Like this is also a couple days, see, right? But I don't know. But usually even 2 days, like this one is very strong. Like, that was the Tuesday, Wednesday, like that was pretty strong. I told you, I remember I hit a new low on that day, man, on this year. And then Thursday, Friday bounced so strong, I couldn't believe it. So, yeah, and the good thing is like, one one of the things that why I keep coming back in, like even though I sold and then I had to buy back, it's because like the volume is so high, right? Like we didn't look at the volume, like, but if you go through all those stocks that we went through, they're just so high. Like, you know, we saw some of them. They're just so high, the volume. Like, you know, they all have volume, right? You know, like, let's go back to SMCI. Look at this. I mean, like, forget about the beginning. Look at this. It's still going, the volume. Look at that, right? Like, if it starts to dry up, I will be very worried. But it hasn't. That's the funny thing. So NVIDIA has started to dry out, see? It has started to dry out, right? The volume not coming in no more. So that's usually an exhaustion sign, meaning like the demand side is slowing down. What other ones did we look at? Let me go back now. This will be the last thing we look at. VRT. So this one, okay, starting to dwindle too, the volume. So that's a good sign, right? If it starts to dwindle, the volume side, that shows the demand is not strong no more. At least at this current price. Then let me look at Powell. Well, this one still look okay, but it's starting to come down. Look at crowd. These are the stronger ones. Okay, this one still has some volume coming in. So that still look good. Crowd is so strong, man. Holy cow. This is one stock probably. See, that's the thing, right? Like I'm a swing trader. I trade in and out. I would make a lot more money if I didn't trade in and out, you know, on this guy. But it's just, you know, this is just one of the rare ones. But let's look at. Yeah, do you look at NVIDIA? I can't remember. Yeah, that's the one that's kind of dwindling. Let's look at Meta. I'm just curious. I didn't look at them all. Yeah, see, it's starting to dwindle down too. But this one is not hitting new high. I'm talking about stocks that are hitting new high on lower volume, right? That's when I start to feel like we're near the exhaustion. Anyhow, those are things to pay attention to.